Another crazy story came in over the weekend. My wife and I were married for 9 years before it all fell apart, and it started when we were driving to our vacation destination in the mountains of North Carolina. While we were traveling, my wife said she had to use the bathroom, and the nearest rest area was quite far. So we took the next exit and stopped at a Wawa. What was crazy was when she got out of the car and went inside, her phone was on the seat. I didn't really pay much attention to it. I was on my phone, but her phone lit up. As I went to grab it, I saw my wife come out of Wawa doing a full-fledged sprint. I was so surprised why she was running so fast, I forgot I had my hand on her phone. She opened the door and snatched the phone out of my hand and went back into Wawa. I was stunned after that. I was in a daze for about 10 minutes. What was so important that she had to rush out of Wawa to get her phone? Well, after she was done, I didn't confront her about it. I didn't want to fight on our vacation. I just filed it away. I probably would have done the same thing. Most people would confront her then, rightfully so, but in some cases, try to maintain your composure. Try to temporarily delay your confrontation and confront her when it's appropriate. I know it's easier said than done. The reason why I say that is your emotions may get in the way. He says, our vacation lasted 4 days. We were intimate once. And to my dismay, she was on her phone almost the entire time. I made one sarcastic comment about her being on her phone. And to my surprise, she apologized, but said she was doing a bunch of surveys. Yeah, right. She wasn't doing surveys. For her to come flying out of Wawa, yeah, something else was up. Needless to say, I didn't believe it, but gave her the impression I did. My plan was to look at the phone bill and go through all the phone numbers and bounce them against whitepages.com to see if I could find anything. Yep, I have used that site before. It's a legitimate website. About the second day back, I had a chance to look at the phone bill online and go through all the numbers that she corresponded with in the last month, including during our vacation. For some context, my wife works for a pool store, and I am a public works employee for the city of Charlotte, North Carolina. We didn't have kids. I am 32 and my wife is 31. What I noticed on the phone bill was a number that had a Virginia area code. This number was all over the phone bill going back months. I didn't tell my wife anything. I didn't want to come at her without proof, so I kept digging. When I ran the number through whitepages.com, it came back with a VoIP number, meaning voice over IP. So that told me that this wasn't really a real number. It could be a Google Voice number or something similar. I was now more suspicious than ever. A VoIP number meant that whoever my wife was talking to was deliberately trying to stay anonymous, and that didn't sit well with me. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious I became. The memories of our vacation were tainted by the knowledge that something wasn't right. About a week after our vacation, the phone bill comes in and I go through it again. When I look at the phone bill, I see that they were chatting at like 2 a.m. and the conversation went on for about an hour. Yeah, she is doing something she shouldn't be doing. So fast forward another few days, and my plan was to tell my wife the phone bill was out of hand and see what her response is. Well, when I asked her about it, she claimed she wasn't doing anything to make the phone bill go up. She said she was just doing surveys and texting her girlfriends. And I jumped in and said, at 2 a.m? I guess you can make money doing surveys, but I am going to say, I bet she wasn't doing surveys. Then she asked, are you spying on me now? I said, no, I am not. But the phone bill was almost $400 last month. I was lying, of course. I am just trying to find the root cause of it. Now, since I asked her that question, we haven't been intimate. She might be thinking he's on to her. I don't know what it was, but one day I decided to clean my car and check out the map update we had for our car. As I was scrolling through all the places we traveled, I recognized all of them except one. Well, I start digging into the unknown address. The unfamiliar location turns out to be a secluded cafe on the outskirts of town. I never knew this place existed. My wife never told me about it. So that's when I made the decision to look at hiring a private detective. I got lucky in a sense because this guy was a former cop and was just starting to get his business off the ground. His price was reasonable. He charged me $2,000 for a week. That's all I could afford. I gave the investigator a photo of my wife, gave him the address of the cafe that I never heard of and where she works. I guess in today's society, a private investigator could be considered a wise investment. It took the investigator 5 days to find out that my wife was sleeping with a man who was identified as the owner of the mystery cafe. He was divorced, and apparently my wife was taking a few days off from work to go be with this man, but it turns out she was leaving for work in work clothes, but she wasn't going to work. Wow. Yeah, in some states, even a no-fault divorce state, they may have a requirement that you separate before you can file. In my opinion, I think that's ridiculous, especially in a case like this. When my wife came back to the apartment, she was crying and wanted to talk. I told her there was no need. We didn't have anything to discuss. She got the rest of her things and left. The apartment is in my name only, and I never got around to putting her name on the lease. We had just sold our home 8 months prior to moving into this apartment. As time went by, a lot of my family and friends on my side started to distance themselves from her. Well, at the year mark, I didn't wait another day. The day I was eligible to file for divorce, I did. Remember, we had to be separated for 12 consecutive months before we could even file. By this time, she was working somewhere else, and I had her served at her new job. I didn't reach out or speak to her again after the first time she came back to the apartment wanting to talk. A few months ago, I heard her and her AP split up. Rumor has it that he cheated on her. Oh well, not my problem anymore. I appreciate you, Tony. Thanks. Well, I don't really have anything negative to say. He handled it like he thought he should. Although dropping our stuff off at her job was hilarious. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.